keynote speaker is Jennifer Mitchell, Deputy Administrator of the Federal Railroad Administration. Ms. Mitchell was appointed to her current position in April 2022 and has over 25 years of experience in the transportation industry. Her accomplishments have included leading the creation of the Washington Metro Rail Safety Commission and brokering a landmark agreement between CXS and Amtrak. Please join me in welcoming her to the stage.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, and good afternoon. On behalf of Secretary Buttigieg and Administrator Bose, who I know is very sorry that he's not able to be here today, I thank you very much for having me here. It is a pleasure to be here. Chairman Shakuri and JITTI, as well as Paul Skatellis and APTA. I want to thank you very much for hosting this event and for all of you for attending this Rail Symposium of 2024. At FRA, we are very optimistic about rail's future and the potential both in the United States and Japan. There is very much that we can learn from each other. Last November, FRA representatives traveled to Tokyo to attend the second Japan-U.S. Rail Cooperation meeting. We look forward to continued friendship and collaboration. The opportunities and challenges surrounding passenger rail have never been greater. Recent events, including the signing of the bipartisan infrastructure law, have created major opportunities for reshaping travel and commutes, and there is much room and much reason for optimism. In the U.S., passenger rail travel is approaching and in some cases surpassing pre-pandemic ridership levels. Last year, Amtrak provided 28.6 million commuter trips or customer trips, a 24.6% increase over last year. On America's busiest rail corridor, the Northeast Corridor ridership surpassed pre-pandemic levels, growing more than 29% compared with fiscal year 22 and serving nearly 9.2 million customer trips. Amtrak has also resumed service on all of its routes that were suspended during the pandemic. Additionally, major passenger rail investments are underway in both the U.S. and Japan. The U.S. is implementing the $66 billion investment in rail from President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law. This includes $8.2 billion for our federal-state partnership national program. We announced those grants last year for 10 passenger rail projects. That includes projects that will help deliver high-speed rail service in California's Central Valley, create a brand new high-speed rail corridor between Las Vegas, Nevada, and Southern California, serving an estimated 11 million customers every year. Other projects include major Amtrak expansions that would connect the Northeast Corridor to the American Southeast, passenger rail improvement and expansion projects in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Illinois, and elsewhere around the country. Last year, FRA also announced 69 corridor selections across 44 states through our Corridor Identification and Development Program, which will be essential to future passenger rail expansion and become the pipeline of future projects throughout the country. A few examples of those projects that are in the planning and development phase include Cascadia High-Speed Rail, which is a proposed new high-speed rail corridor linking Oregon, Washington, and Vancouver with entirely new service. Charlotte to Atlanta, a proposed rail corridor linking the Southeast and providing a connection to Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, the busiest airport in the world. Also Dallas to Houston, a proposed new high-speed rail corridor with station stops in Fort Worth, Arlington, Dallas, Brazos Valley, and Houston. We are very excited about the potential of these future high-speed rail corridors. The successful completion of project development efforts through the Corridor ID program will position these projects for future federal funding. More broadly, FRA is very excited about this program, which will become the mechanism for developing intercity rail corridors and projects around the country. Last year, we also announced an unprecedented $16.4 billion for 25 passenger rail projects of national significance throughout the Northeast Corridor. The Northeast Corridor, running from Boston, Massachusetts to Washington, D.C., supports 800,000 trips per day in a region that represents 20% of the U.S.'s gross domestic product. In terms of overall value, NEC trains carry 5 more 5 times more passengers than all flights between Washington and New York, and emit up to 83% less greenhouse gas emissions compared to car travel, and 72% less greenhouse gas emissions than flying. An example of a major project, the Northeast Corridor, is the Gateway Hudson River Tunnel, which has also received $3.8 billion in Fed state Northeast Corridor funding. This project is critical to the Northeast regional economy and that of the United States. It will generate $19 billion in economic activity over the project's construction period and address a very critical choke point on the Northeast Corridor that supports $50 billion that workers riding in the corridor contribute to the economy annually. FRA's Northeast Corridor investments alone will contribute more than 100,000 good-paying jobs. The Hudson River Tunnel project is expected to result in 72,000 direct and indirect jobs during construction. The Frederick Douglass Tunnel Replacement Program is also expected to generate 30,000 direct and indirect jobs, including approximately 20,000 construction jobs. As part of the $66 billion in BIL funding, Amtrak is receiving $22 billion over a 5-year period. This has already created nearly 5,000 jobs, including employing over 4,000 union workers. FRA is also investing in passenger rail through our Consolidated Rail Infrastructure and Safety Improvement, or CRISI grant program. This includes efforts such as restoring passenger rail service along the Gulf Coast in an area that has lacked rail access since Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Also, 2 new Amtrak round trips and 3 new commuter rail round trips on the RF&P corridor linking Washington, D.C. and Richmond, Virginia. And also adding 2 daily round trips to the Capitol corridor between Sacramento and Roseville, California. These developments give us great reason to be optimistic in the future of passenger rail. They also come at a pivotal moment in the future of our countries and the entire planet. Climate change and increasing frequency of natural disasters have highlighted the need for resilient and sustainable infrastructure. Investments in rail strengthen transportation networks and supply chains. Rail and expansions and improvements encourage modal shifts, promote greener transportation, and reduce roadway congestion. For example, for the California High-Speed Rail project, we know that electric high-speed rail trains will take millions of cars off the roads and reduce emissions, further cementing intercity rail as an environmentally friendly alternative to flying or driving. New all-electric train sets will produce 0 emissions and be powered by 100% renewable energy. For the Brightline West project, taking millions of cars off the road and thanks to all-electric train sets, will remove an estimated 400,000 tons of carbon dioxide per year. And of course, the Texas High-Speed Rail project. We're very encouraged by the partnership between Amtrak to take the lead on that project as well, and we were excited to be able to award that a corridor identification grant too. High-speed rail is very important to our president. The bipartisan infrastructure law is advancing many rail expansion improvement projects, including the high-speed rail projects I mentioned earlier. We are working to improve our passenger rail system, and as a rail safety organization, we are always interested in improving safety in our network. FRA admires Japanese technology and the safety record of Japan's rail system. We are very interested in the opportunity to introduce the Shinkansen technology in the United States and in the opportunity for high-speed rail in Texas via the proposed Amtrak Texas High-Speed Rail project. We also understand that a future potential waiver of our Buy America laws will be needed for the Shinkansen technology needed for the project, but we are very optimistic about the future of this project as well. We are just getting started to deliver the 21st rail network Americans need and deserve. FRA remains committed to a future that brings world-class passenger rail to many more communities across our country. Major projects and corridor development are underway and meeting significant milestones. FRA will continue to make unprecedented funding available and support eligible entities and stakeholders to advance passenger rail efforts. We look forward to continued partnership and cooperation with Japan. Thank you again for the invitation to be here and for our continued partnership.